Hi again, this is Steve, K8BZ, and I'm getting ready for the November Sweepstakes contest this weekend. And as always, I want to check a few things to make sure I'm going to be ready for the contest before it starts. One of the first things that we want to do is to check the contest rules and see if there are any important changes that we need to be aware of before the contest begins. We'll do that from the ARRL website. We'll click the On the Air button and go down to Contests. And then we're going to click Contest Calendar. And we will scroll down on the contest calendar to November. The November Sweepstakes CW contest is the first weekend in November. The phone version of that contest is always the third weekend. So the CW contest is this weekend, so I clicked on the CW contest. And we can go down, it gives you information about the contest. And contest rules are down here, and you can even download a PDF version of the rules and save it on your computer if you want, if you need it to refer to during the contest. The basic rules of this contest are, it's a domestic contest, North America, US and Canada only. You want to work as many US and Canadian stations as possible, and the multipliers are the ARRL sections. Currently there are 83 sections. The challenge this year will be possibly Puerto Rico because of the hurricane in Puerto Rico that caused all the devastation. Much of Puerto Rico, vast majority of Puerto Rico, is still without power. A good sign, though, is that last weekend in the CQ Worldwide phone contest, I did hear some Puerto Rican stations in that contest. So that's a good sign that we may find some Puerto Rican ham radio operators on the air for the November Sweepstakes contest. But that was looking like that was not going to be a very good possibility, but things are looking up a little bit as far as Puerto Rico is concerned. Now, a couple of things in this contest that are interesting. In this contest, if you work all 83 sections, you can qualify to earn a Clean Sweep coffee mug. These coffee mugs are very collectible. They have the year of the contest on the mug. The November Sweepstakes contest is a very old contest. It has been over 80 years this contest has been going on, so it's kind of a historic thing in ham radio, and these mugs are very collectible. When you get one, you'll want to qualify for one every year. It's really an incentive to get you to come back and really put an effort into the November Sweepstakes contest. Now, it's not a given that you're going to be able to get it, qualify for a clean sweep and work all 83 sections. It's going to take some effort and a game plan in order to do that, but it's worth the effort, and it's fun trying to meet that challenge. Now, a little easier goal is a participation pin. If you make a minimum of 100 contacts in either the phone or CW contest, you can qualify for a November Sweepstakes participation pin. And it has the year of the contest, and they're specific for the CW contest or the phone contest. And they make a nice little collectible that you can pin on your vest or hat and wear it at the ham radio swaps, or put it in a little display case. I have mine in a little shadow box here I keep on the wall, and they make a nice little addition to the contest. So after we've reviewed the rules, then it's time to check our logging software. Now, the logging software I use is N3FJP. I use their amateur contact log for all of my general contacts. But for the November Sweepstakes contest, I use their contest-specific log. Now, if you go to the N3FJP website, you can point at contest logs, then ARRL contests, and then in the submenu, go down to November Sweepstakes. And you can check the version here. The current version is version 6.7, and I needed that current version, so I had to download the new version and install it in my computer. There are instructions that are very simple for how to do that, whether it's a first-time installation or whether you're upgrading from a previous version. If you have never used this before, you can buy just the November Sweepstakes activation key for $8.99. So it's fairly reasonable. And you can download a trial version, but it won't allow you to put enough contacts in it for the entire contest. So you can download the trial version, get familiar with it, and then if you want to purchase it, you can through PayPal. You can purchase it for $8.99. You'll be sent an activation key to put in, and that will make the program usable for the entire contest period. And anytime you upgrade, that activation key keeps all updated versions of the program functional. So the next thing we want to do is check out the new version of the program. Now this is the program, and we need to make sure that it's going to interface with the radio, and we also want to make sure it's going to interface with our electronic keyer. I use WinKey USB, which is a fantastic contest keyer that you send all controls right from your logging program. You never have to touch the keyer. So we want to make sure all of that's going to work without any glitches before the contest starts. And I also want to make sure it's going to interface with DX spots, because I do use spotting assistance for this contest. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that this is going to interface with the radio. So we'll go up here to Settings, go down to Rig Interface. We're going to make sure we have our radio selected. I'm interfacing with an ICOM 7000 this time. I usually use an ICOM 7600, but right now that's in the repair shop, so I have to use my ICOM 7000 for this contest. We have to tell it what COM port the radio is connected to the computer through. In this case, it's COM 10, COM port 10. We need to select the baud rate. That COM port is set at 9600 baud, so I'm going to set the correct baud rate. No parity. Mode is determined by rig. You can do that by frequency, but I'm going to do it by rig. Now, this third set of numbers here is the hex address for your rig interface. Now, you'll find that in your rig manual. For mine, the hex address is 70, so I need to put 70 there and replace that 64. We'll make that 70. And then if you click Test, if you see your frequency displayed here and mode here, then you know it's working. It's going to poll the rig here every 500 milliseconds, which is every half second, to look for differences in frequency or mode. Now if I go over to the rig and change the mode to, let's make it single upper sideband, it does in fact change it here. I'm going to spin the dial a little bit and change the frequency. You'll see the frequency update here every half second. So we're doing good for the rig interface. And you can see down here, it will show you what band, what mode, and what frequency your rig is set at. So let's set it, I'm going to hit the mode switch on the rig, set it back to CW. If I spin the dial, you'll see the frequency update every half second. There it goes. So our rig interface is working. Next thing we want to do is check the transmit interface for the CW keyer. My WinKey USB is connected to COM port 6. They do have other ways you can key your radio for CW besides WinKey USB. The N3FJP website has an interface that can also be connected through a COM port, either an actual COM port or a virtual COM port with a USB to COM port converter. And I used that for many years to key the radio for CW operation. It worked with all versions of Windows up through Windows XP, and after Windows XP it did not work properly anymore. It sent CW, but the timing was very sloppy. So at that time I decided to go and get a WinKeyer USB, and that has been excellent. So we need to configure the WinKey USB. Let me back up here. We already had the COM port selected. And in this window, you can set various things on the WinKey USB. You can change the ratio and compression and weight, and you can turn the side tone on or leave the side tone on the keyer off. I use the side tone on the radio, so I don't want to hear that additional side tone on the keyer, so I don't have that checked. I leave that unchecked. And then you can test it by clicking the test button. And I'm going to turn the volume up here so we can hear the side tone on the radio and make sure that it's working. And it is, so we're good to go there. Now what that does, we can test it here. What it does when you click test, it's going to send whatever you have in the F9 macro file, which is right here. 3 V's, and this is K8BZ. And you can adjust the speed here up or down. Now, when I click that, sometimes we get a little error window here. I've discovered that is just because I have my screen recorder running at the same time. So right now I know the keyer is interfacing with the rig. Then you need to set up your macro files. I use the macro files F1 through F3 when I'm running on a frequency, that is when I'm calling CQ. The F keys on the keyboard are divided into groups of 4, so I use the first 4 for when I'm running on a frequency, and I use the next group of 4, F5 through F8, for when I'm doing search and pounce. So search and pounce is when I'm looking for other people calling CQ. So let's start with running on a frequency. Now you can put in whatever you want for your CQ here. Let's say I'm going to put in CQSS K8BZ, and that's really all you need. You want to keep it short. You don't want long calls. As a matter of fact, I even sometimes will just say SS K8BZ, and that's all. Everyone in the contest will know that you're calling CQ. So keep it short. I keep the loop where it loops back and repeats that CQ time period. I keep that short. I find that 2.1 seconds is good for what I like to do, because I'm doing fairly fast speeds, usually 25 words a minute, sometimes upwards of 30 words a minute. If I get a call from someone at a much lower speed, I'll bump the speed down. But you don't need a long delay in between calls when you're running on a frequency. Okay, the next F key is going to send my exchange. Now the $ here will cause the call sign of the other station to be sent. When I enter a call sign on the log form, the $ will send that call sign. It's going to send the exchange, which is, if you look down here, you'll see this 001. That's going to be the first contact. U is what's known as the precedence. That is either your power level, or whether you're working assisted or unassisted, or whether you're a school or a club station or a multi-operator station. U is unassisted, so that's my precedence or entry category. Then you have to send your call sign, the year you were first licensed, 2-digit year you were first licensed, and your section, your official section abbreviation. In my case, that's MI for Michigan. So the $ over here sends the other station's call. The hash mark sends my contact number, or the first one is going to be 001, U, K8BZ, check 71, Michigan. If the station received it all right, then I can press F3. The exclamation point saves the contact in the log file. Then it sends thank you, K8BZ. Now, for doing search and pounce, it starts with the F5 key. If I hear someone calling CQ, F5 will send my call. F6 sends the exchange. It's the same exchange as search and pounce. But on the run exchange, it's unnecessary to send that station's call, because they're sending your call, so we know that we're working one another. So it sends the exchange, and then the F7 key saves the contact, and all that needs to be in the F7 macro file is just the exclamation point to save the contact. So we've clicked the test button. So I know that the keyer is interfacing with the radio. So now I can just do a sample contact here. So we'll run through a couple sample contacts for running, and we'll run through a couple for search and pounce. If I'm running on a frequency, I just click the call sign field where I can be ready to type in a call sign if I get a call. Then if I push the F1 key, it'll send my CQ, pause for 2.1 seconds and repeat. Now the up and down arrows increase or decrease the CW speed. Just repeatedly press the down arrow. Or you can hold it. And the speed is displayed in this little window that stays on the screen momentarily. Now, as soon as someone responds to one of my calls, when I begin typing a call sign, it's going to interrupt that CQ loop. Now, let's say my friend Chris responded, and he's going to send his call W8COP. As soon as I type the W, that interrupts the CQ loop and it stops transmitting. So he answered my CQ call by sending his call sign. Once I have his call sign, I'll press the F2 key and that should send the exchange. The exchange is going to consist of his call sign. That's why when you're running on a frequency, you've got to send the other station's call sign so everyone knows who you're responding to. There could have been more than one person that tried to call you, so you need to send the other station's call so they know who you're responding to. So it's going to send W8COP, and then it'll send number 1, U, K8BZ, check 71, Michigan. So if I push the F2 key, I want to check and make sure that's working as it should. Now I just clicked along with that so you could see what was being sent. That isn't part of what the program does. When I click, it just causes that red dot on the program. Now, if the other station received that exchange, they would start sending their exchange. If they didn't receive it, they might ask for a fill. They might say check. They might send CK question mark. That means they want the check. Now, I'm just going to send that manually if that's what they request. So I just go over to the keyer paddles and I'd send the check because that's the only thing they requested. If they asked for the section, I'd just send MI, and once they received it all, then they'd begin to send their exchange. Now you need to be ready to copy. I copy directly from the keyboard as the code is being sent. Some people that are kind of new to this might copy it on paper and transfer it to the log if they're working search and pounce until they get used to actually copying code on a keyboard. Now you can either navigate through these areas by using the mouse and clicking into the correct field, and they will always send it in this order: number, precedence, check, and section. And they will also send their call sign. They'll send number, precedence, call sign, check, and section. But we already have their call sign in, so that gives you a little break in between the precedence and check where you can get ready to copy the next item. So let's say that Chris gave us a number 3, and I was telling you can navigate through these fields by clicking with the mouse, but you're constantly moving your hand between the mouse and the keyboard. Doesn't make for efficient copying. You can also move through the fields by hitting the tab key on the keyboard, and that progresses through the field. You can also use the space bar, and that will move to the next field. But you don't need to do any of that. You can just copy the numbers. Let's back up and let's say we're getting ready to copy, and he's going to send his number. If he sent a number 3, even though I'm in the call sign field, as soon as I type 3, it's going to move over to the number field. Lucky for us, these are all one field starts with a number, the next field starts with a letter, the next field starts with a number. So the program can be programmed to know that you're entering the next field when it switches from a letter to a number or number to a letter. So we copied number 3. Let's say his precedence is B as in Bravo, his check is 73, and his section is Michigan. So I didn't hit any spaces, tabs, or mouse clicks. All I did was copy the exchange. Now again, He would have sent his call sign here in between the B and the 73. But we just pass over that and don't bother copying anything there because we already have the call sign. Once we have his exchange correctly, we can push number 3. That's going to log it, and that will clear the screen. Send thank you and my call sign. And if we get another call, let's say that my friend Dave, N-A-Z-W-Y, called. As soon as he does, I can press F2. And then Dave will give me his exchange, number 8. Say his precedence is alpha, check 68, Michigan, and then I'll press F3. Saves the contact, clears the screen, and if I don't get another call after sending my call sign, I can just press F1. Goes back into the CQ loop. Okay, now let's check out operating search and pounce. Let's say I'm tuning around and I hear my friend Ted, K8EO, calling CQ. I can type his call sign in and wait until he's listening for a response. Now I have the search and pounce macros in F5 through F7. So I can send it, when he's ready to receive a call, I'll press F5 to send my call sign. And then get ready to copy. If he is responding to me, he'll send his call sign and then he'll send his number. Let's say he gives me a number 10, precedence Bravo, check 75, section is Michigan. If I receive that all okay, then he's going to expect me to send his exchange. And again, I don't need to send his call sign. He's responding to me, so we're good to go there. We know each other's call sign, so I'll press F6 and it'll send this exchange starting with number 3 without sending his call sign first. And if he got it all, he'd say thank you and I'd log it. If he didn't, he would ask for a fill. Let's say he didn't get the precedence. He might say PRE question mark, and I just use my paddles and manually send you, and when he got it, he'd say thank you and acknowledge the contact, and I can either press enter or F7 to save the contact. So we're good to go there for search and pounce and running. Last thing we want to check is DX spotting, and that's in the setup menu. Where is it here? DX spotting. To enable DX spotting, this has to be checked. If I uncheck that, you'll see where all the spots at the bottom of the log screen disappeared. Let me move this up a little bit. When I check that, the DX spots show up again on the bottom of the log screen. Now, this is a North American domestic contest only. We don't need to get DX spots from all over the world, and we don't need to get single sideband spots. We want North American spots for CW stations only. So we can filter the spots. This portion here says display spots for these continents on the main form. We only want to see North America. Now there's more filtering here. Let's open this up. Down here it says check any bands that you would like to block. We don't need to get spots on 60 meters, 30 meters, 17 meters, 12 meters, 6 meters, or 2 meters. Those are not eligible bands for this contest, so we're going to exclude those from the spots that are displayed on the main form. We want CW only, so we're going to make sure this button is punched. So we're all set to go there. So when we close all this out, any DX spots for North America, now even though Cuba and Panama are technically North America, they're not in the contest, but we're not going to get Europe and we're not going to get Asia or South America, Oceania. We'll just get North American spots in the CW portions of the bands. The next thing we want to check is if we click on a spot, is it going to put the rig on that frequency and mode? Right now the rig is on 20 meters, as you can see up here. So let's say, for example, this was a spot for, and this is a good one, VY1 AAA. That's Canada, and that's in the Northern Territories. So that will be a very valuable spot in the contest this weekend. So if I click on this, if the spotting and rig interface is working correctly, watch the frequency here. It puts the rig on 40 meters CW at 7.002 where this spot was. Something else you can see over here, all of these in red are sections that we need. These are all the sections in their call areas. Most of the sections are a state, like Michigan. The entire state of Michigan is a section. In call area 4, Kentucky is a section. Now Michigan we've already worked. That one, that's why this one turned blue. In call area 9, you'll see Wisconsin and Indiana are in green. That means that someone spotted Wisconsin and Indiana, or at least that the state abbreviation Wisconsin appeared in a spot. Now you can see down here, WI is part of the comment portion of that spot, but it was saying it was heard in Wisconsin. So that's not a Wisconsin station, that's the one for Panama. But you can click on it here if that really is a Wisconsin spot, and it will put us on that spotted frequency. So let me click on that. Changes to the frequency of this spot, which is 70149, and you can see that's where it changed it. So our spotting is working, so we should be good to go for the contest. I hope you'll find this helpful if you're thinking about getting into November Sweepstakes and how to set up for efficient operation when you get used to using a logging program like N3FJP with rig interface, spotting assistance, and a CW interface. It really makes the contest a lot of fun. And I'll try to do another segment during the contest this weekend and post that also. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the contest. Good luck.